are out of birth. And you who wouldn't close the land all around the earth, our future is your downfall. When we cut this ball and chain, you who'd sacrifice the public good for your private gain. Hi, kitty. I see you. I see you being cute. I see you being cute. I hear you being cute. I feel like I got this on a little crooked. Whatever. I probably shouldn't be adjusting my outfit in front of the camera, but what are you gonna do? The die has been cast. Hold on, let's make sure the chat is readable. Okay. There we go. Now we'll get chat messages as they happen. It's the commons, are right of birth. And you who would enclose the lands all around the earth, our future is your downfall when we cut this ball and chain. You who'd sacrifice the public good for your private gain. Why is it that everyone can understand the idea of a commons, but they can't understand the idea of communism? There's a good question that nobody will ask in chat. I don't know why the idea of the commons is so powerful to me. I need to explore that more within myself, honestly. I need to look into that more. I need to really analyze my own patterns of thought and ways of thinking and figure out what it is about the ideas implied merely in the word or the phrase, I guess, that appeals to me so deeply. If I think about it, the first thing that pops into my head is the idea of shared grazing space in places like England and shit. Love you, chumma. Do love you, chumma. What? What? Huh? Anyway, hi, hello. I guess people are starting to finally trickle in. There we go. I couldn't think of the word trickle. You're not getting the attention you so desperately crave, Benjamin. Go get it from your mother. I ain't her. You ain't my son. I have a son, and his name ain't fucking Benjamin. So, I've got nothing for you. I'm not going to give you the attention you so desperately crave, and I'm not going to give you the raising that your mother should have given you. Yeah, that's not healthy and helping the lungs. Boy, I sure wish that there was some apparatus in our civilization that could have informed me of that prior to your comment and prior to me smoking. It would be really wonderful if there was like a Department of Health, maybe like a association of healthiness, or like maybe like a, I don't know, what would you even call it? I guess like a Department of Health or something, right? It'd be really nice if our society had something like a Department of Health to tell people when they buy cigarettes or weed, hey, this product may be addictive. This product has not been reviewed by the FDA. Hey, this product is known to cause cancer. Smoking in any form is damaging and carcinogenic. If only, right? If only, dude. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Is that what that warning on my weed was telling me about? Bro. I'm going to have to smoke about this. What is that you're holding? It's called a Wabbajack. This, I assume you mean? It's called a Wabbajack. Every time I suck on it, an angel dies. And the stuff you see me breathing out is that angel spirit. So every time I suck on this, lighting the magical material inside of it, an angel somewhere dies, I suck out their soul, and I inhale it back out into the world for it to go on and become other things. Maybe it'll become another angel, maybe it'll become a tree, Who knows? Just figured out, sorry, I'm stupid. It's okay. Be honest with me. My funny answer was way better than me just telling you it's a bowl. Right? You see? This is why I've got 1,700 subscribers. Well, that and the fact that people love to subscribe to me to hate me. But I'm fine with them too, dude. So far, they've been relatively chill. They've kept it to just insults, and I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm perfectly fine having a divisive community. Whatever, as long as it stays chill and civil, and like basic human respect is kept up from both sides. I think that's a perfectly equitable arrangement for me to be in. I'm perfectly fine having a community that, it's like 50% haters and 50% people who adore me, What is the worst they can do? Oh, well, I mean, like, if somebody really hates you online, they can, if they've got anyone in their family that has, like, LexisNexis lookup or something like that, they can, like, I would say doxing is probably the, like, worst that somebody can do as far as, like, an online hater. But, I try not to even think about it because, it hasn't happened, and, fingers crossed, never will happen. Or if it does, nothing will come of it, right? So, but that's like the worst they can do. I guess worse than that would be swatting, right? Swatting would probably be the next worst thing somebody who just utterly hates someone online could do. Girl, yes. Yes, I am a girl. As evidenced by the cleavage and the shirt. Dude, and now watch. The comments are going to be all about my vape. Now that I'm vaping, now that I've taken it out of my pocket and it has hit my lips, all of the comments are going to be about vapes. Not all of them. But that's about to become a prominent discussion topic. Dual wielding. I think you mean dual. DUALWIELDING. Dual wielding. Sometimes wielding. Did I spell that right? Did I spell wielding? WIELDING? I before E except after C. Yeah, okay. Well, fucking I before E except after C, except in the case of like a bunch of fucking words. Like if you think about it, Keith is not I before E, and it doesn't come after C. I used to have like a whole list memorized of names and words that break that quote unquote fundamental rule of English. Super fat? Not really. I'm like an average level of fat for the average American. You got to look at some big old motherfuckers to find somebody who's like super fat. Like, you know, I'm a pretty like average American level of chubby, fucking fat bitch. I'm not like exceptionally, insanely fat. If I was, I would just admit it, but I'm just not. In fact, I think I've probably lost weight from my peak. There was definitely a time in my life where I felt super fat. I don't really know if I was, honestly. The problem with being fat is that for some reason, people will constantly, when you call people out for making fun of fatness, right? Or when you call people out for being, when you say somebody's being mean because they're being fat, even if you're like a person like me who will say, yes, I recognize that you're trying to be an asshole, but I don't care because my ego is bigger than yours, right? Like, some people have a very huge but fragile ego. Some people have a huge but indomitable ego, and I'm of the latter group. There's nothing you can say that's ever going to hurt my feelings, but I can recognize when that's the attempt behind what someone is trying to do, right? When that's the motive behind the attempt. And when I call that out, a lot of times people will say, well, they'll claim, right, that they're just trying to be they're just trying to be helpful. They're trying to keep me healthy, right? Which is called concern trolling, but that's another point entirely, right? And a lot of times, when I call these people out on it, and they'll say, oh, I'm just trying to be helpful and shit. I'm just trying to keep you healthy. It completely falls apart, and there was a reason why it completely falls apart. But now I've spoken so long that I've forgotten it. Oh, now I remember. So, it falls apart because it's based on the false assumption, even if it was true, right? It would be based on the completely false premise that fat people don't already know that we're fat, that we're just like blissfully unaware. No, and that's such a ridiculous thing too, because the reason that you know is because you've learned them from people who made fun of fat people, and the truth of it is like any of my fatties in here, like if there's anybody that's overweight in this chat, they can fucking tell you straight up, fat people know that we're fat, and we oftentimes hate ourselves far more than anybody who could insult our fatness possibly could. That doesn't mean there aren't still some fatties that get super fucking offended by the fat jokes and shit. There definitely are. There are plenty of them. And depending on the day, I might respond to a fat joke with a yo mama joke, or I might respond to a fat joke the way I did today, by critically analyzing it. Bro, stop shaming her. Half of y'all look like Discord mods. They do. Like, that's the fucking thing. Well, that's another reason why their fucking bullshit cannot get to me, right? I've met the average internet denizen. And you know what the average internet denizen that meets me actually has to say about me? They worship me. You know why? Because I walk in both worlds. Because I can go to a bar and have a good time and throw it back. That sounded wrong. Okay, that came that came out wrong, okay? That used to mean different things. It means different things in different contexts, okay? Listen. Anyway, but point is, I can go to a bar and party, and I can live or I can go to a library and hang out with people, or I can go to a post office and have like a social interaction where I look the person in the eyes and I smile and I'm, pleasant and polite, courteous and receptive to courtesy and all that, right? And I can get on here on the internet and talk all y'all's crazy bullshit, right? I'm familiar with all the weird memes, and I kind of speak the lingo, and I understand the technology, But because I've met many and abundant average internet people, I know not to be offended by the things they say. Number one, because none of them have that kind of shit talk when they are actually around another human being. And two, a lot of like super terminally online internet people are ugly motherfuckers. Mostly by their own fucking decisions too. We're not talking about motherfuckers that are born with like a deformity or something that makes them like conventionally unattractive. We're talking about motherfuckers that are just like, that have like let themselves go to the point where they just don't look, like they would be completely fucking laughed out of a room if they tried to make fun of somebody on the same grounds that they try to make fun of me for. So it's like, with all that in mind, right, with all of that knowledge in my head, why would I ever choose to respond to them with anything but derision and with anything but, I don't know, like, I guess derision is really the only word that fits, so. And that's if I respond at all, because honestly, a lot of the time, I just let the fat comments just, like, slip on by, dude. Especially because if somebody like our wonderful mod Perseus, who just joined us here, I really don't have to read much of that shit. Also, there's 20 people here. Make sure you guys please hit that like button. It really does help. Every single time you like the live streams, another chance for the stream to make it big, baby. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously, it's another chance for more people to have the stream recommended in their algorithm, which helps more people join the chat, which helps more people, which helps make the chat more interesting. And that's what we're trying to do here. This is a chat-based show. You guys ask questions, I respond to them, we have a pseudo-conversation, and shit's chill. And we respect the vibe. We don't need eugenics, my low IQ friend. Wait, what? Holy shit. Wait, whoa. What's going on? You are why we need eugenics? What? Like, even if I thought eugenics was, like, a valid way to pursue the management of human populations, why the fuck would I, how, under what grounds? Because I'm trans? It's certainly, like, it can't be because of an undeveloped speaking ability. It can't be for a brain lacking in the capacity to think creatively. It can't be for my fashion sense. So it literally has to be that I'm trans, right? Is that why I'm like poster child for eugenics in your mind? Why was I bullying you? Who are you talking to me? Or who are you talking to? If you're talking to me, I wasn't bullying anybody. If something I said, you thought I was talking about you or whatever, like, if you don't think it was you, don't think it was you. It probably wasn't. Like, I wasn't thinking about you in particular when I said anything that I've said in the last few minutes, so. Mason, don't even worry about dumb motherfuckers in the chat, honestly, Rain Ranger. You've been fine. Like, we're chill. Don't trip. Just block all of these bigots and trolls. Oh, Gage, would that it were that easy. If I were to sit personally and ban and block every single troll and hater that happens through the chat, number one, I would have like 75% less people chatting, fucked up as that is. And number two, I would have basically a show that was 50% me leaned over like this, just like scrolling on my phone, barely able to hold a conversation because I'm just busy banning people. which would be very boring to me and very boring for you. Yeah, exactly. That's what the mods are for. And they're working hard. But we have a policy over here, Gage, that differs from what you might... Because I know you're a DFF fan, so we have a policy that differs a little from Paul Zigo's policy that I enforce over there as a mod, or that, like TJ's got a standard that I would argue mine is more relaxed than, even though TJ's standard is still pretty, pretty low, like compared to Paul's. We not only feed the trolls, we kind of encourage their presence here. Because my biggest streams have all been me arguing with my chat. Arguing with some of the dumbest people you've ever heard someone argue with, Gage. And you don't get those people unless you keep a sort of open door policy. So what gets banned around here is mostly low effort trolling. The rule here is be interesting, put in effort. That's it. You can be as hateful as you want. Just put in effort. Make it something I haven't heard a dozen times. Make it something that you thought of. And you can stay. You're a former fan of DFF. Ooh. What's that about? If I may ask. Even if you're a fan, you still get the comparison. How much do you have to do to be a moderator? What do you mean? Like, I don't know. Like, the mod ship around here goes to people that I see in multiple streams that stay around for, like, the duration of streams. Or not, like, the entire duration. There's no obligation that comes with being a mod. There's just, like, standards that I have in place before I give it to somebody, Like, you have to be around for however many weeks. You have to be somebody I trust in the community. Every so often I'll see someone engaging at such a high level that I'm like, okay, that person is not some crazy person. So, like, there you go. You've been to a lot of streams? Well, you haven't been to a lot of my streams. And if you have, I haven't seen your comments. And that's building rapport is the first thing that's required. As you know, I'm a member of r/enough Paul Zigo span and r/OkBuddyDFF. I actually did not know that, Gage. I will be completely honest with you. I troll over there, but I do not read people's usernames hardly ever. They're like two dudes that I know of on there. One of them is Alchemist Soil, who is actually probably one of the few people that is like, or at least that used to be like a regular poster on those subreddits. And he's probably the, weird Reddit hater that I have the most respect for, I guess. He's came on my channel. I've come on his. We've discussed politics and things like that. And he's made a video or two about me, which is fine. And but I respect the fact that Alchemist Soil actually goes through a lot of effort to make sure that he researches his refutation and shit. And honestly, I don't think he's like in terms of his presentation of facts, he's like conveying factual information. I feel like that's kind of the problem, is that the argument between me and that person in particular would be like a philosophical thing. It's about not allowing yourself to continuously condone bad behavior, right? It's about taking what's likely going to happen anyway and using it for something other than what we're planning on using it for, right? So yeah. I like Alchemy. I'm in a Discord server with them. You should join it. Maybe I could. But yeah, so that still doesn't explain why you're not a fan of DFF though anymore. That just tells me that you are on those subreddits. I mean, I'm on those subreddits too, but I troll them, Well, I guess it's not trolling because I do believe the things that I say over there, but I don't have any notifications turned on for Reddit. I visit it completely at my leisure, and at this point, I leave like a comment or two a week, So you could be in that position, you could be in Alchemist's position, you could be in... There's this other dude, like Undying Awareness or some shit, that like, viscerally hates Paul and now viscerally hates me too. Which I thought was the most amusing shit. Man, that dude said some unhinged shit over what basically amounts to political disagreements, which is fine. But it's just, like, stunning to see out of somebody that you're just with on Reddit about stupid politics shit. Let me see here. Oh no. I think somebody... Okay. Man, you're smarter than I thought. I thought you would not realize, because I didn't specify. What are you talking about? Anyway, holy shit. I'm gonna fix something real quick for you guys. I'm gonna make this chat readable. Okay, subscriber mode, 1 minute. We'll do that, and then we'll do message delay. Oh no. There we go. 15. There we go. There we go. Now chat should be nice and readable. Well, to give you a hint, I got banned on the official Deep Fat Fried sub for posting stuff about why Paul bans Anne Frank and Eugenics talk on the sub. Okay. So, I am of the mind that Paul's position on this whole Anne Frank thing is a pretty damn far sight from outright Holocaust denial, which is, I feel like, what he usually gets accused of. So let me make my case real quick. When I have asked Paul about it, what he has said is that he feels like Anne Frank's diary was probably had a little bit of an editorial process behind it, that her father was obviously intimately involved in, right? And, like, the fact that it's her father means that he would have been able to provide perfectly justified editorial insight, so to speak, because he would have been going through many of the same things, living in that same apartment, right? And when I have asked him, so do you think, like, it's all a bunch of bullshit, or do you think it was, like, maybe edited to make more sense as a story by your dad? What he has said is, yeah, I think it was edited to make more sense as a story, like, as a narrative, because it was a diary, and now it's a diary that is a book. And I think that is honestly a pretty mundane stance. It's not what I believe. I think that Anne Frank's dictionary is probably a pretty unabridged version, of what she wrote down. I'm sure that there's some editing done to correct spelling errors and shit like that, but I don't get the impression that book is, like, complete bullshit or whatever. And when I asked Paul outright, he said, no, I obviously don't think it's complete bullshit. So, definitely multiple ways to look at it. Anne Frank's dictionary? I know. No, he said she didn't write it, period. Everyone knows the diary was, of course, edited, and there are different versions. I mean, he said that as a joke. When asked about it since then, I mean, you can say it's recanting the position. I just think he was joking around about it. I think he was presenting something that he believes a version of that, but, so to speak, but not what was actually presented in the episode of Onion Nuggets that got everybody so upset, that initiated this entire thing, right? At the time, I remember him saying, but I assume that. And when I've asked him about it personally, like, I'm pretty sure I've asked him on Discord, and I know for a fact I've asked him on stream in the last, like, 2 or 3 months. The answer has been, yeah, I think Frank obviously played a huge part in writing her own fucking diary, but there are narrative elements and grammatical elements that were that had to have been implemented by some kind of editorial process in order to make it cohesive as a story. And like I said, you could say that's a recant of the position or whatever, but that's what I've heard when I've asked recently. How do you think Anne Frank got a ballpoint pen? She must have made it herself. Do what? What's going on there? Oh, it's just a big prank? How come he bans all talk of it and refuses to comment further on it? Or even apologizes that he made it sound like that if he didn't mean it? Well, he doesn't refuse to comment further on it. I've asked him about it in the last, like I said, I feel like you're not listening, Gage. I've because the shit I just said kind of refutes that point. Like, I can't pull it up right now because I'm on the only phone I would use to pull it up, but there's a stream where I'm asking Paul questions in the chat. I think it was like a month ago, maybe. A month or two ago. It was a few weeks after. No, it was more recently than that. See, I'm bad with time. But it was at some point within the last 6 months. I know that's a lot of time to go through. But there was a stream where I brought this up specifically in the wake of all the, like, you know, I hesitate to ennoble it by calling it drama, but you know what I mean. In the wake of all this discourse and shit, like a month or two ago, I had asked him about it, and he was perfectly able and willing to talk about it. So I don't know. I think if he's banning it on the Reddit, I assume it's because it's like a tedious fucking subject, maybe. Like, if Paul was truthful on stream about how he feels, then it stands to reason that he's probably had to give that explanation like 200 times by now. And so maybe he just got sick of giving it. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I've heard from the horse's mouth. I don't follow the main DFF subreddit closely enough to know what the fuck goes on over there, because I agree with those dudes for the most part, you know. I agree with those folks. Like, we're typically on the same side. You know, and like an echo chamber is not the most fun thing for me. You may have noticed from the chat. So, yeah, I would just like to pray for you. I don't mean to be disrespectful. Well, hey, I thank you and I appreciate it. And, you know, bless you. Thank you. That's the excuse as to why he censors people when he's questioned. He just doesn't like saying he's sorry all the time. Not an excuse. It's me imagining an explanation. I don't really think it needs to be excused. I think even if I granted you the premise that Paul doesn't think that Anne Frank wrote her diary, that is a goddamn far sight from Holocaust denial, which is the adjunct fucking accusation that gets slung around because of this shit. Ask Paul about the Holocaust and he's perfectly willing to discuss it. Honestly, if there's any reticence in the DFF dudes to talk, and I imagine it probably goes further than Paul, which is why I say that, if there's any reticence to continue discussing like the Holocaust and World War II and shit, it's because it has become a constant fucking refrain for certain groups of people on the political spectrum to use as like an example of ultimate morality, I guess. And it's become tiresome in that way. You know, anytime somebody wants to justify war, they throw World War II at you. Anytime somebody wants to justify invasion, they throw World War II at you. Literally, there's so many fucking things when it comes to politics, especially as it regards war, where World War II and the Holocaust specifically are used as like bludgeons, when really they're just a way to skirt around the points that are being made. And I mean, considering that Paul, I'm pretty sure the DFF dudes did like 4 or 5 episodes that are about like Holocaust adjacent topics and shit. Now, maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I distinctly remember. I'm pretty sure there was a Frank's Diary episode, but maybe I'm wrong. I could totally be wrong. But, what the fuck? Anyway. I mean, World War II has great examples for discussing wars, but it's different from today, so I don't know at this point. I never do war discussions. Yeah, I mean, I talk about war when it comes up, but, you know, it's not like the biggest topic on the channel, so to speak. What gender do you date? I date anybody who wants to date me, pretty much, regardless of gender. Yo, how are you doing? People in chat are, oh yeah, they're fucking awful, but it's fine. I love talking about wars. Lots of mechanical evolutions have been committed in the name of war. Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. But yeah, Gage, I just think it's like a weird thing for people to get so hung up on when we're talking about somebody that has used the Holocaust as an example a few times, even in his rhetoric. And we're talking about somebody that is like one of the reasons why when anti-Semitism happens, that's like actual anti-Semitism, you know, like that's Paul, like every other reasonable human being, will bring up the Holocaust as an example of why actual anti-Semitism, and I have to say that because obviously any fucking anti-Israel sentiment now is taken as fucking anti-Semitism, and it's not. But, you know, that's why when real anti-Semitism happens, and it's being covered on the show, that's why the Holocaust is invoked by all three of them, because it's like the natural example, you know? It's an assumption on your part, not something based on fact. What's your assumptions on Paul being pro-eugenics and straight up telling someone from Norway that they were wrong about their own country? I don't know. Give me a minute. Sorry. I'm like sitting right in the sun and it's fucking bothering me. But at the same time, I don't want to move this chair. Anyway, I don't know why. Like, okay, why are those two things connected? Because one of those things sounds way worse than the other. Because to me, like, why the fuck what the fuck does being from Norway have to do with anything? Just because somebody is from a certain country doesn't mean they know fuck or all about that country. That doesn't necessarily mean a fucking thing. You know how many Americans? Come on, Gage, you have to know this. Do you realize how many Americans know fuck all about America? Do you realize how little people in this country are actually fucking informed about the country that we live in? Like, so with that in mind, what the fuck makes you think that people from Norway automatically know about Norway because they're from Norway? Are you in Washington State? Yeah, dude. Yeah, dude. No, I fucking wish. I fucking wish, dog. This guy's way too blue to be Washington State. Anti-Israel, but how else will I make my bottom line? I don't know, Perseus. Maybe you can figure out some way to, through machinations, get Americans a UBI, and then you can start investing in luxury products and services here in America. Restaurants and shit. I really do think that would be a good, like, market socialist way to get people to get over this idea that it's, like, horrible and awful to switch modes of production and to focus on other things as a country. Because schools in Norway are way better than the U.S. Yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean somebody's gonna, that doesn't. Like, even in a perfect school system, there are still people that fall through the cracks. They're still dumbasses, you know? For context, he said that there were no people in Norway that had Down syndrome, and someone in the chat said that they were from Norway and said that there were indeed people with Down syndrome in their country. Dude, Gage, I'm gonna be fucking straight up real with you. I think Paul was just high as a motherfucker and was talking crazy shit. Because, yeah, that's indefensible. It's not gonna get me to hate the guy. But yeah, that's indefensible in terms of like factual accuracy. So you pretty much just have to chalk it up to mans was smoked out, mans was talking crazy shit. Give old grandpa a break. This is why you gotta subscribe to me, Gage, because I won't talk no crazy shit like that for at least another 20 years. I think you were making excuses for Paul's shitty behavior. How's that an excuse? How's motherfucker was high and talking crazy shit an excuse? It just seems like a pretty fucking succinct explanation to me. Like, what am I supposed to say? Oh no, I did not know any of this. I did. Like, what? Gage, you're acting so appalled by my responses, but you knew what responses you were going to get. You had to know. You had to fucking know. You had to fucking know. Either you knew or you just assumed that I'm an idiot that doesn't stay abridged of any of the fucking goings on of the wider community, I guess. Or that I just don't watch a lot of Pessimist Productions content, but I know for a fact that you have to see me in chats just like I see you. I know for a fact that if you're active on those, on the hater subs, I know for a fact that you've had to see my ass over there arguing, so why are you acting like you're completely surprised by my responses? Listen, I think Paul said some crazy shit that doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and I think that Paul is still genuinely probably a pretty good guy. I think that when he talks about eugenics, that's usually one of those conversations where I, like, either tune out or end up arguing with him, because, yeah, I think that Paul's eugenics takes are pretty anti-human. I would not, as a sufferer of autism, I would not advocate for a policy that would completely prevent autistic people from being born, nor would I advocate for a policy that would completely prevent, say, Down syndrome people from being born. Now, there are conditions which I think that if we cannot develop a treatment for them, it might warrant a policy of at least allowing people to get an abortion because they know that their baby's going to have it, right? So, like, harlequin ichthyosis is a horrible disease. Like, the vast, profound majority, it's like a 99% majority, 99.9998% majority or some shit of kids that are born with harlequin ichthyosis die within the first week of their life. That's horrible, and the way that they die is repugnant and awful, and as a parent, I can't imagine ever going through it, and I can't imagine ever wanting to put a poor little baby through that. And so, when it comes to something like that, I think that there's a mercy case to be made, but Down syndrome is not some disease of pain and anguish. Most Down syndrome people that receive adequate care and treatment, right, that receive adequate, what's the word I'm looking for? Accommodations. There we go. Like Down syndrome people who receive the accommodations that they need in whatever areas they need them, and that have access to like treatment options and shit throughout their life, are happy people. They're happy people, and 99% of them work. So what would even be like, and not that I think that should add or subtract anything from your value to the world, but even if we're talking in a purely capitalistic sense, I don't think it would be a good idea to prevent births on the basis of that, right? It was just a prank, bro. He was just on drugs, so it's okay. Our excuses. I didn't say it was okay. I mean, I said it's not going to make me hate the dude, but it's indefensible. You want me to start talking shit about Paul, and it's not going to happen, Gage, so you can stop fishing for it. If you want to have a discussion about the things that you're bringing up, we can do it, but you are not going to get whatever you're looking for out of me. You admit Paul is inhumane on eugenics and you are still supportive of him? He is literally calling for your non-existence, and yet you still defend him. I don't remember Paul ever advocating for eugenics against autistic people, but sure. I think Paul's got some wacky views on some topics that he will never have any power to influence. And I don't know about you, Gage, but I grew up in an area where the friends that I have, I had to pick from some real fucking gems. So I'm pretty used to having friends with a couple of weird, that doesn't make much sense. I don't know that he's right about that, but you know what? Chill guy. Give you the shirt off his back. I've had to have a lot of friends like that in my life. I don't know where you grew up, Gage, but I grew up in Mississippi, and that's where I still live. And that's what I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So yes, I'm perfectly willing to remain friends with someone who's got some crazy, indefensible views on eugenics, especially if I can argue with that person and point out all the ways that they're wrong. Who knows? Maybe someday they'll fucking think better of their stupid idea on this particular topic. Like, why is that inconceivable to you? Like, do all of your friends just match your beliefs 100 to 100? Like, you've never had a friend that had some crazy beliefs that don't make no sense whatsoever? You've never had a friend that was like a moon myth guy? Like we never went to the moon guy? Like, you've never had a friend that's that? Who said I was looking for anything? You didn't have to say that you were looking for something. The fact that you are responding in the way that you're responding makes it clear that it's not just about explaining yourself. If it was just about explaining yourself, I don't think you would have responded to the points that I brought up. I think you would have said, yeah, I disagree, but, I just wanted to explain, why I'm no longer a fan of DFF, but I would rather just participate in the broader stream discussion. That could have happened, but clearly you wanted to respond. And the reason you wanted to respond is because you want something from this interaction. My theory is that you want absolution. You want to hear from someone who is, not close whatsoever to Paul, but to somebody who has, an online association with Paul. You want to hear from somebody, probably the only somebody you think you can reach for this. You want to hear that you're right about everything, that Paul's an awful person, and that it's all an inside job. But I'm sorry, that's just not what's going to happen. And I've explained my reasons for that. I'm just not the kind of person who stops associating with someone or watching their content because they've got a few crazy views. Because you know what? Paul's Ego is also the only fucking streamer I can think of who, maybe not so much anymore because it hasn't been in the news as much lately, but Paul's Ego is one of the only YouTubers I know that regularly calls for workers' revolution and regularly explains why a workers' uprising is the only kind of mass movement that has any fucking hope of ever getting real success in this country, right? That outweighs him having some weird-ass, unexplainable views on Anne Frank and eugenics, in my mind. I want to hear your reasons and how you were still a massive fan of him and defend him so much. Well, there you go, Gage. It's because I think that the good that Paul does outweighs the few bad spots. I'm not saying the bad spots aren't there. I'm saying that we're talking about an apple that is 95% good, juicy Fiji apple and 5% bruise. Now, that Bruce has some pretty dark things in it. I never said it didn't. But, that's what we're talking about. Okay, I will be right back. I am going to go help my parents with an air conditioner. Somehow we retained viewership despite that lapse. Okay, well, you're calling being pro-eugenics and censoring and insulting your own fan base just crazy beliefs. While insulting your own fan base, see, Gage, you are doing a tactic, and you've done it a couple times in this conversation, where you will list off this list of things, right? And 2 or 3 of them are things that I've actually engaged with you on, and then one of them is something that you haven't brought up yet, or something that you've only vaguely alluded to. So, like, we haven't talked about the insulting your own fan base thing. As far as insulting your own fan base goes, Gage, have you ever made content? Let me just ask you. Before I go off and assume shit, just let me ask. Have you ever made content? And when I say, like, okay, most people have made some kind of content in their lives. Have you ever made content that, like, did numbers of any kind? Elfantaiga says they run the primary Paul Hater subreddit. Would that be enough Paul Zigo spam? r/enough Paul Zigo spam? I love how there's like a primary, a secondary, a tertiary. Yeah, right on. Well, you've seen my ass over there trolling y'all sometimes, so. But like I said earlier, it can't really be considered trolling if I actually believe the shit, right? So I guess it's not trolling in the truest sense. But y'all have definitely seen me agitating over there. So, yeah, ask me anything. Or are you just here to see the answers to Gage's questions? If so, I understand. And Gage said he doesn't understand why I defend Paul, but I just explained it. And I didn't hear, well, I had to get up and go, but I didn't hear Gage respond to that, to what I pointed out, which is that despite Paul having a few crazy beliefs that are pretty inexplicable, and despite him being kind of a dickhead to some fans sometimes, I still think his content is worthy and watchable. And the reason for that is because despite all those things, Paul remains an ardent advocate of labor, of workers' revolution, of queer rights, of immigrant rights, civil rights in general, human rights in general. Alrighty. Hold on for 1 second. Oh. At least it's not as hot today as it was yesterday. Oh. Okay. What's up, everybody? Gage posted the stream on our Discord. I'm mostly here to just watch. I don't really have an interest in converting people. Also, you're free to do anything legal and DFF related in my sub. Yeah, I figured. I wasn't like, that wasn't like a challenge or like a, haha, I'm in your face. It was just like a, oh yeah, you probably recognize me then. Sorry if it came off some other way. But yeah, Phoebe's here, well-known Paul Zigo simp. Happy to answer any questions about it that you may have. Honestly, like, Gage is so appalled by these like terrible beliefs that Paul has, and I agree that the ones we've talked about, yeah, pretty shitty and indefensible. But how many people have opinions like that or worse that don't ever talk about it, that don't ever make it known, that you just find out one day through their actions or some shit, or it comes out in personal conversation, or it just never comes out, or it comes out later in their life when they're not making content and can't be held accountable anymore, or something like that, right? So, I think even if I was a person who found like way more of Paul's beliefs reprehensible, like I think even if I was like a MAGA right-wing type, I think I would probably have to begrudgingly respect Paul for at least like coming out there with all his crazy weird fucking opinions. Because like I said, some of them, like when it comes to like Paul's overall breadth of opinions, I think some of them make a lot of sense. Some of them are perfectly justified, reasonable, and many of them are based on leftist theory. I get it. And then there's a few, like what me and Gage have talked about today, that I really don't understand completely. That I accept his explanation for, like on the Anne Frank thing, and that I just really don't get at all when it comes to the eugenics thing. But I also accept that that kind of thing is probably true of anyone you meet, like, or at least it can be true of anyone you meet, right? Paul is just one of the few people that will come out and talk about opinions like that he has. Another reason, I guess, that Paul's eugenics takes don't bother me as bad is because the way Paul frames it is not like, I am committed to this belief and I am super passionate about it and I believe it like 100%. It's more like tentative, but maybe that's just the streams that I've had exposure to. What's up, Chris? Explain what rights are not afforded to you. Let's see, the right to receive medical care that would, well, really the right to receive medical care at all is not a guaranteed right in America. So we could start off with that if you'd like. I don't know, like, do I need to go through all of them, really? Do we need to go through all of them right now? All right. The right to go in a bathroom that matches the gender that we identify with. The gender presentation that we identify with. That is a right not afforded to trans people in a growing number of states. Marital rights, that's a good one. Queer people can get married to like same-sex partners here in America, but getting a marriage license can be harder in some places depending on how queer you are. But yeah, to just finish responding to Gage, I guess. Yeah. I feel like the reasons I defend Paul have been made pretty clear. I think it's a pretty easy to understand thing. I genuinely feel like, Gage, I feel like you are just incapable of understanding the idea of having someone as an association that has some really fucked up beliefs, like some inexplicable beliefs or whatever. And I'm just well used to that. And I can recognize, and I think you probably do too. Like, here's the weird thing to me about this whole fucking interaction, right? Is that human society is kind of predicated on looking past people's weirdness in order to get along with one another, right? And it's like you can figure out how to do that with somebody that's got way fucking, like, you probably associate in some way, shape, or fashion, at least in a kind of public sort of like standing around with them in line kind of way or something like that, with people that are like outright MAGA fascists, right? Probably happens unless you live in like a super big city here in America where you just don't have to deal with that kind of thing, where it's like pretty hard to find someone who's like openly pro-Trump. If you live anywhere in the Midwest or the South or the rural parts of New England or the West Coast, you're going to be dealing with that type of like attitude just as you go about your daily business. And people can figure out how to look past it when it comes to that. But for some reason, leftists in particular, in my opinion, are really bad at looking past a crazy belief or two in people that they associate with personally. It's like it's like people will buy a burger from somebody that they know is a multiple child rapist, but they won't have a conversation with someone that they really, really know that they find out believes in eugenics or is on the fence about eugenics, which is what I think Paul actually is. And that's just a strange thing to me, you know? Just because they support Trump doesn't make them a fascist. No, I recognize that. At least, well, okay. It doesn't make them a fascist, but it is, I'm not going to lie, as Trump does more and more fascist shit, continuing to be a Trumpy does make you look more and more like a fascist. I'm not going to lie. You know, like that's the trade-off. Man, where'd all the mods go? I mean, if it looks and acts like a fascist, right. Like, that's kind of the problem, right? Like, 3 months ago, if you'd said, do you think every Trump supporter is a fascist? Like, I would have been like, well, okay, yeah, like the hardcore MAGA people, definitely. But no, I don't think every person who voted for Trump is necessarily a fascist. Now, I still don't believe that every person who voted for Trump was a fascist, but I am more and more vindicated in my belief that his hardcore base, the maggot people, as we call them, those are fascists. They are American homegrown fascists. People that um, the like 40% of Americans who still like what Trump is doing and are still fans of him, despite all the turmoil and chaos he's caused over the last 6 months, right? Over the last 3 months, particularly. That 40%, it's hard not to argue, right? Of course, then again, there's there's probably a good 5 or 10% of that are just like, yeah, sure, because they don't watch that much news. And they work in some kind of job or have some kind of life that doesn't really put them in direct contact with it. So what they know about the president is that their team won is about what they know about the president. Like, how much of a fucking statistical difference do you think that group makes up? You like holes or poles? I like fucking everything. The ones that are cheerfully rallying behind our economic collapse, right? Do you have AIDS? Are you fucking serious? I feel like the 80s just slapped me in the face, dude. Bro, the AIDS epidemic is over. AIDS rates have normalized, okay? Most gay people don't got AIDS. If I had AIDS, I would look a lot less healthy. I've never suffered in your life. You're just a big baby. I don't know who is enabling this behavior in you, but I'm sure you are not doing 80-hour work weeks. Your opinions will change after. Yeah, you're not doing 80-hour work weeks either, retard. I don't believe that. I don't believe that for a fucking minute. I do not believe, full stop, I do not believe you are pulling 16-hour shifts 5 days a week. That's retarded. I don't believe it, full stop. I work, because you know why I don't believe it? Because I work 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday, every fucking day. And I'm, like, as tired as I am after just that. A motherfucker that was actually working hard like that wouldn't have time to sit around in my chat and bitch and moan about me. You wouldn't have time to do shit but eat, shit, and sleep and work. That's cute. Yeah, Quentin Hermans is the one dude on the planet who can work 16 hours a fucking day, 5 days a week, and fucking... No, Quentin, fuck that. Quentin's working 24/7, dude. Quentin never stops working. Quentin fucking falls asleep on the job, keeps on doing it. Oh my god. Tell me more. Tell me fucking more. I love this line out of people. They see somebody online that they want to fuck on, and suddenly they start talking about how they work the longest hours out of anybody on the planet. No, you don't. I don't believe you. Human beings are not capable of that much exertion in that short a time span. I'm sorry. People who work like a long ass, like 16-hour shift, go home. Like if you have to do that for like 3 days in a row at any job, it's considered like the worst 3 days of your life. I don't believe that you're pulling 80-hour work weeks, period. Full stop. Not unless there's one exception. If you are working some stupid fucking desk job and coming to me with this bullshit, then maybe if you're some kind of high-level professional or some on-call doc, maybe you're getting paid for 16-hour days, but you're not working for that entire 16 hours. You know, you're not going to say anything fucking ever in this channel ever again, bitch. Fuck you. Fuck you and your oppression Olympics too. Fuck you and anybody who looks like you. Do you have a job? I literally just got done talking about how I work 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. 5 days a week. I guess I'm just going to have to touch the poop. At least I look better than you. No, you don't. Guaranteed. Stop crying. I'm not, but you can be banned. Do you know how to play the guitar in the back? Yes, I actually do. Babe, you're better than me on this. I have to be. This is the shit I deal with. This is the shit I deal with. I'm a ranch hand. We pull hours like that, sometimes more depending on the weather. Okay, be honest with me. Is every second of that spent doing hard manual labor? Or is a lot of that like being driven to and fro and sitting around waiting on something to happen, right? Which one is it? Because I can almost guarantee that any human being that's able to do that kind of thing day in and day out is working some kind of job that allows them plenty of rest time. And like, you don't need to be sleeping time, you know, like being ferried from one part of the ranch to another, you know, like being ferried from one part of the property to another, being ferried from the ranch to town, you know, like all of these things might be covered under the, like, your billable hours, so to speak, but they're not. It's not like motherfuckers will act like. People will act like they work 16 hours a day, 5 days a week, pulling logs with their teeth or some shit. You know what I mean? Go to the Midwest. I ain't the only one. My ferry is a horse. So it's riding a horse, which is also not hard manual labor. If it's hard manual labor, then why do rich people do it for fun? Riding a horse, I mean. Not being a ranch hand, riding a horse. So, like, before you try to defend that as some, like, hard thing, not hard, exactly, it's not hard. It's not hard. Is it work? Yes, you're being paid for it, and it's in furtherance of your employer's interests, so yes, it's work. But is it hard? No. What job do you have? I'm a disassembler at a factory. Not hard. We mess up the horse and all are both gone. But yeah, but that's the thing. That's what your that's whatever training time you had was for, right? To make sure something like that doesn't happen. And it's the same way if you're like if you're driving a parts car for a local auto parts delivery store, right? Most people I've talked to who work that job describe it as a pretty easy job. They don't think of the danger of the road as something that increases the difficulty of the job. I feel like that's something you're only bringing up for this discussion. Honestly, I feel like you probably brag about your job to other people in a different context. I feel like you probably talk about how wonderful your job is in other contexts. If I had your job, I know I would talk about how wonderful it was to be able to ride a horse to and fro, to be able to enjoy, to be able to have. Do you know how much, dude? I would give anything to. I would trade my life for yours in a second. I would trade my life for yours in a fucking second. And I don't care if it means that I would work 16-hour days, because in a job like that, you can, and it doesn't feel like 16-hour days. Driving a car and being in control of animals that can kill you and each other are two different things. Not really. You're making them out to be super different because you want them to be for this narrative that you're building. But they're not really that interesting. Or, I'm sorry, they're not really that different. You realize that car crashes kill the most Americans every year. You realize that car crashes are the leading cause of death in America, right? We can agree on that, right, Brandon? Car crashes, automobile crashes are the leading cause of death in America. Right, Brandon, it's just an ego thing for you. It's all an ego thing. You live your entire life based on the idea that you can have interactions like this, where you can lord your physical abilities over other people, and you can lord the amount of hours that your ranch hand or that the ranch boss gets out of you, and you can play oppression Olympics anytime you want. You love being in this position, don't you? You love being in the position of constant victim to the difficulties of your job. You think you work? I fucking work, bitch. Well, I got news for you, Brandon. Yeah, does heavy equipment ever work on your farm? It's not ego. You were out of shape. You bringing that up is ego. You bringing that up is ego. It's ego. It's not truth. It's ego. Learn the difference, and you'll feel a lot better about yourself. And answer the fucking question. I pose to you a question. I asked you a question. I asked if heavy equipment ever works on your ranch. I know, Brandon, you're so much better than me. Don't worry. Oh, everyone gets it, okay, bud? You can come now. It's okay. You're allowed. This guy's just in here jerking off about how much better he is than me, and it's like, motherfucker, I don't care. I've got something you don't, and never will have. I've got a place to call my own. Now, since Brandon's not going to answer the question, I can guarantee you that whatever ranch Brandon works on uses heavy machinery from time to time. And, well, let's just say that the work I do is... Let's just say that the work I do is intimately involved in ensuring that those pieces of equipment continue to be serviceable and continue to last for a long time, and to make sure that the life cycle of the components used in all of those different machines continues as many times as possible. So without me and people like me, Brandon's enterprise would not be possible. Brandon, you are an example of possibly the hardest type of working person to reach. The one who thinks that they do the most work. That they are the actual worker. That the people who make their food, the people who the people who provide everything that their life is built on, the people who build the roads, the people who ensure that corporations can't just pour endless amounts of horrible toxic gases into the rivers and oceans and air, the people who make fast food and make restaurant food and shit, and the people who buy whatever it is you raise on your ranch, those people's lives and their jobs don't matter. You're the only real worker. You're the only actual hard worker. Everybody else is just a pussy. And that type of shit is exclusionary, like needlessly exclusionary. Completely needlessly exclusionary. And it does nothing but alienate you from your fellow worker. Your life will improve immensely when you realize that the 16-year-old McDonald's cashier getting 25 hours a week has every fucking bit as much a right to feel proud of the work that they put in as you do. Are you saying that your job is better than any other? How the fuck did you get that from what I just said? I just said the opposite of that. I just said that that exact line of thinking is stupid. Now it's a physiologist. Now it's a dumbass who can't answer any fucking questions. Brandon, you're just too stupid to answer things directly, aren't you? You're just too stupid and ego-driven to answer anything directly, because I've posed about a dozen questions to you in this fucking discussion, and I am sick to death of reading your comments and hearing those questions go unaddressed. I don't see an answer. I sure enough don't see an answer. I do have some videos of me playing guitar. I have one video of me playing ukulele. But I might play some on stream. Tell you what, if somebody super chats $2 right now, I'll let them request a song. No, I'm not letting them get to me. You have to understand that I don't take these home with me, so to speak. I might get emotional in the moment. By the way, my face is not red because of the comments. My face is red because I'm directly in the sun, and it's like 1,000,000 degrees in this trailer. It has nothing to do with the comments. So if that's what you're noticing, don't worry about it. But I let the people get my hackles up, but I don't take it home with me. I don't think about these people after I'm done with one of these. I've only got $1.32 on my card right now. Well, you personally don't have to do it, but I just think it would be cool, you know? I don't know. It's always a worthy point. If you're a streamer that's got monetization, it's always worthy. Any song? Okay, all right. For a Canadian $2.75, we will play a song. As requested, so delivered. Any song. Sorry. But that was necessary to clear my throat. Okay. That's a really pretty guitar. Thank you. Everything on here that you see was hand-drawn by me. Come on, you. I know this is the most boring part of any folk musician's set is us tuning up our guitar. Boy, that man's just speeding down that thing. I mean this respectfully, might want to quit vaping. I know. All good, tuning is a part of the experience. It definitely is. That's how you know that it's a real musician, you know? Because AI doesn't need to tune. AI just sounds good instantly. Because AI thinks about that beforehand. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see here. Okay. When Father bought the farm, we sold the farm, mistook his blood for rustic charm, sold his ghost as an antique to the city. Kids today can't hold a spade, rest in peace, your weary trade. In this world there is no place, such a pity. For the barman shakes his head and fills my glass, says we're living in the past. Why preserve a dying craft and its memory? We sigh and see another modern man. One of property, not land. So I hold out this battered hand. Will you listen? Come sit down, we're lamenting about yesterday, sad ending, about the water in me whiskey. The brass passed off his gold, another round. We're lamenting about old time memories of a day when wooden was wooden, silver, silver, gold was gold, sweet home was home. Well, you say you got a wooden home, well, you say you got a wood stove. There we go. Well, you say you got a wood stove and your second home runs on gas but looks like oak. Hell, it even gives off smoke and glow. It embers. Just God damn it. There's a quilt hung on the wall, reads home sweet home beneath some wise words from Thoreau. Then they call me a throwback when I cry. Remember, come sit down, we're lamenting about yesterday, sad ending, about the water in me whiskey. The brass passed off as gold, another round, bird sending into all-time memory of a day when wooden was wooden, silver, silver, gold was gold, sweet home was home. Get these tools, they're artifacts. Endangered species left its tracks. So lock me up behind plastic glass in the city. There's no going back for me. This antique's rustic eulogy shall be sold as folk artistry. Such a pity. But I'll never understand why they all long to build such land, build a home. What was country but settle for white rooms and hollow doors, plastic ceilings, padded floors, luxury boxes where you're stored. And what was country? I come sit down, we're lamenting about yesterday's sad ending, about the water in me whiskey, the brass passed off as gold. Another round, we're descending into old time memory of a day when one was wooden, silver, silver, gold was gold, sweet home was home. You're doing amazing. Aw, thank you. I appreciate you. You're so sweet. You're amazing. I've got to go, but you have an amazing rest of your day, and good luck with the stream. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I love hearing the birds, the cow, and the kitty cat. That's awesome. I know, right? I know, right? Isn't that cool? Isn't that neat? Isn't that good? I do want to see if I can play another song that I remember a little better, though. Oh, it's hot. Boy, it is hot in here. Oh, no, I do want to do another. I do. I just want to think of one that I can remember all the way through, which is a lot more than I think, which is the problem, right? Little girls in Sweden dream of silver screen rotations. Psychic spies from China try to steal your mind's elisions. And if you have these kind of dreams, it's Californication. The edge of the world in all of Western civilization. The sun may rise in the east, but at least it settles at a final location. It's understood that Hollywood sells Californication. Couldn't find your new wine, come join the summer making. Celebrity skin, is that your chin, or is this for your waging? Firstborn uniform, hardcore, softcore. Dream of Californication. Dream of Californication. Dream of Californication. Bury me, girl, be the top of my world, be my very own constellation. Teenage bride with a baby inside, getting high on information. Buy me a star on the boulevard, that's Californication. Space may be the final frontier, but it's made in Hollywood basement. Cobain, can you hear the angels call from station to station? And all the rounds not far away, it's Californication. I love that song. There's no shame in vices. We are the only living being on the planet that understands death, so just trying to get through it ain't the worst thing. 100%. I 100% agree. Not only that, but we are not the only species on the planet that has what you might call vices. There are all kinds of mammals, especially, that love to get drunk. Mammals and birds. There's all kinds. Also, thank you for another super chat. I really do appreciate it. Anybody else wants to carry the stream, hey, feel free. But so far, Caden's been a big contributor, and I appreciate it a lot. Let's see. If you need to, pull up sheets of music. No shame in that. No, I wish I could. I just can't really do it when I'm streaming at the same time. Have you considered doing Typo Negative's Christian Woman? After going down the BK rabbit hole, I found that video of his cover. Oh, dude. I don't know the chords or any of the words except the first ones, but I'll give you the words that BK is famous for singing. Well, I mean, that's not why he's infamous, but you know what I mean. Well, okay, type the first verse or the first part of the song into the chat, and I'll do that part. I think I remember it, actually. A picture hangs up in her hall. From grace she will fall. An image burning in her mind and between her thighs. Oh, yeah, it's a cross upon her bedroom wall. A cross upon her bedroom wall. From grace she will fall. An image burning in her mind and between her thighs. The music's great, Phoebe. I joined for a political-ish chat, but I'm enjoying this just the same. Well, I tell you what, we'll play a political-ish song then. If you know anything about online leftist discourse, you'll love this song. I don't drive a car because they run on gas, but if I did, it'd run on biomass. I ride a bike or sometimes I skateboard. So fuck off all you drivers and your yuppie hordes. Sitting all day in sitting all day in a traffic queue. I'm a better anarchist than you. Sorry, I had to remind myself of the chords. I don't eat meat, I just live on moldy chives or these donuts that I found in yesterday's dumpster dive. All you people in that restaurant, I think you are so sad when you could have been having bagels like the ones that I just had. I can't believe all the bourgeois things you do. I'm a better anarchist than you. I do not have sex, and there will be no sequel because heterosexual relationships are inherently unequal. I'll just keep on moshing to anti-flag and crass until there are no differences in gender, race, or class. All you brainwashed breeders, you just haven't got a clue. I'm a better anarchist than you. I don't wear leather, and I like my clothes in black, and I made a really cool hammock from a moldy coffee sack. I like to hop on freight trains, I think that is so cool. It's fun, it's so much funner doing this than being stuck in school. Sitting on something, do. Sorry, I forgot the words. But yeah, so, okay, Jade, I will let you know, I will let you in to the song that inspired the title of today's stream. It's this chorus, which just hits me like a ton of bricks. It's the commons, a right of birth, and you who would enclose the lands all around the earth. Our future is your downfall when we cut this ball and chain. You who'd sacrifice the public good for your private gain. You who'd sacrifice the public good for your private gain. It's the commons, all right of birth, and those who would enclose the lands all around the earth. Our victory is your downfall when we cut this ball and chain. Those who'd sacrifice the public good for their private gain. But I think that's enough music for one day. But yeah, I don't know. I've been obsessed with the idea of the commons lately. I learned about the tragedy of the commons recently, and I think that's what made me start thinking about it more, even if it's kind of like passively in the background. The idea of the commons, by the way, is that there can be land that is specifically set aside for shared use. A great example of a commons is a community garden, which is a form of commons, you know? Thank you for expounding on the topic. I didn't know what it meant. Yeah, it's a term more often used in Britain than it is in the United States. But a commons is, well, a community garden is, like I said, probably the best example. But like one could say that there are big swaths of the West Coast that are, in practice, a form of commons. Land that is ostensibly owned by one person or another, but it's free range, Everything's like freely ranging, so like there's no fences, and so effectively the land ends up becoming a form of commons. You have an amazing voice. Keep singing. I gotta go, but keep it up. I also appreciate your opinion as well, so it's amazing seeing a creator like this. Well, thank you. I appreciate that a lot. I appreciate all your donations tonight. It's been really fun hanging out with you guys. I think I'm going to go as well, actually. Tired. I'm sure I've got other things I need to do, and it's also really hot in here, so I would like to get out of the heat. But thank you guys so much for sitting and listening, whether it was to the music or to the conversation earlier with Gage and the other guy and all that. So whatever reason brought you here today, thank you guys for hanging out. Thanks to everybody who swiped through and donated, and I will see you guys again later, maybe, or tomorrow, or something like that. But goodbye.